journalist. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar said, for any movement to succeed, it must have a newspaper. A movement without a newspaper is like a wingless party. Staying true to this belief, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar published many newspapers throughout his life. He also said, there's no better source than a newspaper to suggest a remedy against the injustice that is being done to our people in the present and will be done in the future, and also to discuss the ways and means for our progress in the future. So I will be going over this every newspaper. The first one to be ever published on the 31st of January 1920 was Mukh, which translates into the leader of the voiceless. Babasaheb got an initial funding of 2,500 rupees from Chhatrapati Shahu Maharaj. Because of his English education, he used to write all his papers in English and then translate it into Marathi, the only language that Dalit people could understand at that time. Because he was during that time he was a professor at Sydenham College in Bombay. So he assigned Pandurang Nandra Bhatkar as the editor of the newspaper. His Parsi friend Naval Bhatina helped him multiple times to get the newspaper, to bail the newspaper out. Eventually, 3 years later, in April, the newspaper shut down because of a lack of funds. After that, he published Bahishkrut Bharat, the Excluded India, on the 3rd of April. It happened during the course of the Mahad Satyagraha, and he got an initial funding from Dalit activists of Konkan and Bombay who participated in the movement. It was noted that he didn't hire extra staff officially, which caused him to write, publish, edit the entire newspaper by himself. In the late 1920s, the newspaper played an important role in mobilizing opinions against caste violence. It's also in this newspaper that Dr. Babasaheb argued that Dalits should be identified separately from the Hindu community because of what happened during the Mahad Satyagraha. Eventually, it shut down on the 4th of November 1929. After that, he published Samta, which means equality, on 29 June 1928 in Marathi. He published his. The purpose was to socially reform society and empower the marginalized sections. Later on, it got financial problems, but he kept publishing, and eventually it was renamed as Janta. Janta means the people, and he wrote in this newspaper, tell a slave that you are a slave and he will rebel. He also discussed urgent issues and discussed the letters from the people. During the same time, Mahatma Gandhi published Harijan, but because he wrote it in English and Dalit people didn't have a huge understanding of English at that time, it wasn't that popular. Later on the 4th of February 1956, it was renamed as Prabuddha Bharat, or Enlightened India. He kept publishing this till his death, and after that his son Yashwant tried to keep the newspaper going, but eventually, 4 years after his father's death, it shut down. Babasaheb's thoughts on journalism: he thought that media was an important pillar of democracy and it should be used wisely. In the Mukh, he said that journalism should not blindly cater to the masses. Instead, it should help to establish new ideas and discuss problems that society is having. In Bahishkrut Bharat, he said that newspapers shouldn't publish socially immoral and vulgar advertisements that promote wrong, evil things like Brahmanism and the patriarchy. That's also the reason why most of his newspapers got financial problems, because he refused to put any advertisements in his newspapers. And he also said that newspapers should always raise their voices against injustice, social evils, and spread awareness to promote good things like equality and humanity. Now, Dr. Babasaheb's writing inspired a lot of Dalit journalists to make their own newspapers. The Mukh, as an example, is an online news website founded in 2021 by a Dalit journalist named Meena Kotwal. It could be described as a Dalit-centered newsroom that talked about the problems that Dalit people are having daily. You also have Roundtable India, Vilivala, and also YouTube channels like Dalit Camera. The end.